Nice to meet you. And our project we called Race On. The idea is, I mean, I'm sure people who participated in cycling races or other races, like for those who cheer for you, it's really difficult to find out where are you. Because you're somewhere on the track, eventually you get to the finish line, but you don't know where are you or how to cheer you up. So that's why we built the project like the system Race On. The idea is you run the app on your Android phone with your wearable like watch attached to, like you wear the watch as well. And your phone sends the GPS data over to the central system. Central system processes the data, maps it in real time for everyone to see. It detects all the participants in the race, and it attempts to plot the route as they go. So it aggregates essentially the idea. It takes the starting point, and from there it takes the set of the proximity at the closest point, and then it aggregates into the next point on the route, and continues on until it reaches the end. It plots it on the map, and it allows, like, pushes back notification back to the cyclist or the racer, to the watch, to report how they're doing, whether they need to go faster, slower, their position, etc. So, fortunately, our demo is we had to break it into two portions. We have,
how do the fans know when the person's getting near?
The fans can track it through the website. It's a mobile responsive web, they can track it on the website. So because obviously it's the GPS data and it's really hard to run this weather route to demo it. So the first portion is we'll demo on the mock data, and then we'll present with the real devices and show the push notifications. So yeah, good. So this is the website. So we start the race, and as the race continues on, we can see the racers, the participants, as they go. It aggregates the route, and until they finish the end, which should happen sometime in the future. Yeah, yeah, they go about 100 kilometers an hour. Yeah. Well, make it
through buildings too. That's amazing.
Funny enough, that's actually the real GPS data from my All right, so that's how it works. And now with the real data. So we've got two participants, and the map, that's essentially inside the building. So as you can see, it's very detailed. And let's say we want to cheer Garrett so that he can go faster. And at that point, it pops up on the wearable with a message.
Oh, cool.
It says faster.
Going as fast as I can.
I got it. Hey, we got time. What if you can run around the building a little bit?
Absolutely, but we need more volunteers.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, that's our project. So any questions?
Can you send custom messages?
Yes, absolutely. We thought minimal viable product thing, right? Better works what we like. Minimal functionality better works. Yeah.
Does the do the racers see anything about where the others are?
We have the data. We because when you push it to the wearable, racer will never see it actually on the phone, right? Yeah. So on the wearable, to format it properly, we don't really have time to, because you have to either plant the image with the text in order to have much control. So yeah, we have the data, we just didn't render it. Okay. As well, we thought to push the data when the position changes. So when you were number 5, it became number 4, and that's going to push that. Congratulations, you just passed another guy.
Yeah, that could be the stuff.
Yeah. And the other thing we wanted to implement, and we had the data, was to actually calculate lag behind the leader.
Yeah, so how far behind it is.
Makes sense.
So, sorry, I'm just curious about the implementation. So it was, are you using GCM then to push the?
On the start of the race, so like initial idea is that like initially there is no race time, right? Once we click on the prepare the race, all devices who start up at that time, they get registered in the system, but they don't report their GPS coordinates yet. Once we hit start the race, at that point we send GCM message to all registered devices telling them, okay, now it's time for you to report their data. The data, like this one, starts to get collected. And once the race is over, you obviously click end the race. And at that point, you send GCM to stop collecting the data.
And you're using the Where SDK to push to the, or is it just a regular notification?
With notifications, it's there is just a separate controls like to control like what actually comes to the Where. Like
So add more actions.
yeah, it's the case essentially.
What was the biggest technical challenge for you guys in getting this up and running?
Figure out the algorithm for aggregating the route was a bit of because yeah, for me that analytic geometry was like back in the day, so trying to recover that was a challenge.
Why did you have to aggregate the route? I mean, if your use case is, hey, we want to let folks who are cheering you on know, say, where you are.
Well, because if you do, let's say, Grand Fonda, right? Let's say you get 200 people will install that.
Right.
Multiplied by a number of points for each, you can't really plot that on the map without degrading performance.
Okay.
So that's why when you actually render it on the web, you need to minimize the number of points.
Okay.
So that's kind of, plus you want to somehow exclude runaways. Because obviously there will be, in a large group, there will be people who either run away or, because we don't have a
You've run a couple of races, I take it.
We don't have a predefined route, so we actually calculate the route dynamically.
Okay. Right.
And the last challenge was dealing with the Google and the documentation on the location manager. That was a bit of a challenge because some of the documentation is references actually older implementations, so just trying to figure out that.
So this is the actual UI for the racer on their phone.
Yeah, that's
Multi pieces. If you guys had one more day to develop it, what would you focus on next?
positioning. So to return the proper position, definitely make the better graphics. And
Make it easier to track where your person is in the race.
Yeah, so how does that happen right now?
It doesn't. Right now, it'd be fairly simple to actually update the markers to store who that person is.
Right.
yeah, so we record the marker and it actually references, we just didn't have like integration between them.
Right.
It is essentially very straightforward. The lag calculation, that's definitely the big thing, to calculate how far behind and that.
Any other questions?
So in practice, this would be applicable for individual person races, not for team cycling races, right?
No, actually, I mean, why not?
Because in team cycling, there's like strategy among team members, like who will lead the peloton and who.
But they define it themselves anyway, right? So
Don't they get it from the coach? Like they have a car that they pull up next to and then their coach.
well, in the true professional sport, yes, they would get it from the coach. But still, I mean, those who cheer for the team, they can actually see the team, how they behave. And I mean, peloton is great, but peloton break up as well.
Yeah.
So if someone lags behind, they can still, like,
Yeah.
their actually fans will be able to see how they're,
Yeah.
they're going to behave. Definitely, it's a single race at this point. The proper way to do it is to have some form of sign in, create your race, configure it, multiple races management, etc., etc. That's kind of what's outside of the 2-day development. Okay.
All right. Big round of applause.
Yeah, race on. Yeah.
You guys need You're good.
Got it. Race on.
Cool. Who's number 2? All right. Yeah. What's your team name?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is there a map?
What do you guys use to do the map updating? What do you guys code that?
Python. Yeah, cool. So it's a Python Django. Obviously, all the map, everything is JavaScript. And,
Oh, you're pushing. Is that you're pushing or pulling?
currently, we are full. Yeah. So we didn't do WebSocket. So.
And the GPS coordinates is coming from the smartphone.
The coordinates come from smartphone. Yeah.
Thanks very much. More than I could do.
Okay, cool.
Oh, cool.
Meter of the states. Oh yeah. Well, at least I found. I don't know. This will be. It's not like a super hard.
All right. So, big round of applause. Come on, guys.
Cool. So, yeah, yesterday I guess we came into the Google Cardboard workshop. I think it was the first time any of us had tried it out, and we thought this is pretty cool. Actually, I haven't really tried a VR headset before, so we thought about an application. We thought, okay, cool. Would be neat to get there's a lot of little apps out there for star maps, like little 2D star maps, which are cool, and you can look around and look at the constellations. But there's nothing really good in 3D that you can zoom through the galaxy with and stuff. So I thought that would be a really cool way to actually, I don't know, get a closer space experience on device. So our idea was to look for a database of star data, export that into something we can just ship with an app, and then use the Cardboard SDK to plot and display all the stars, and then have you be able to move around through them. So we got a little demo going. It's not too spectacular since none of us have virtually any graphics experience. It turns out that OpenGL is a bit of a so we got the basic screen on the VR going, so you can turn and tilt and pan around and see your little cube stars. So that's actually pulling from a little database of 120,000. Actually looks way better. You see way more if you're looking this way. There's something like 120,000 stars in this database, and they're sort of plotted in relation with their closeness to Earth at a certain point in time. So you can sort of imagine that the camera is positioned at Earth, and you can pan and look around. And with the Google Cardboard set, you can pull the magnet down and zoom in a little bit. So there's also some temperature data stored in that database for the stars. So we're trying to get a function going to convert the temperature data to actual color, which we got going, but couldn't figure out how to actually get those colors properly going into whatever byte array buffer and feed that into OpenGL properly. So most of our gripes were with just OpenGL, but if we had someone to figure, we could have probably gotten some cool, colorful looking stars.
And actual circles instead of spheres. Yeah.
Instead of cubes.
Yeah.
Cool. Any questions?
I guess I'm just curious what learning resources you guys used for OpenGL.
The internet.
That's
just Google.
It's really interesting because I found there's a lot of info on how to do certain things in graphics, and they can severely differ over versions of OpenGL, especially OpenGL 2 to OpenGL 3. And I wasn't really sure how similar OpenGL ES 2.0, which is what the Cardboard SDK uses, is to OpenGL 2 or 3. So it was just a lot of Googling. I try to find Android resources where possible. They document the functions and everything really well there, but you're not too sure like if you haven't done a lot of graphics and you don't know the graphics pipeline, you don't really know what functions you'll need, because you'll probably need a bunch of combo of like functions to do something pretty basic. So there's just a lot of Google searching, a lot of Stack Overflow. Dan was really helpful actually in helping us figure out some of the, I guess, matrices to use to like transform the scene to actually do movement. Because he's done some OpenGL in the past, so he helped out quite a bit with that. Yeah.
I guess my follow-up question, you said that there was a database of 120,000 stars.
Yeah.
Didn't see 120,000 stars there. How did you guys filter that space?
At first, we just decided, okay, let's pull the closest 100. So there's actually, we actually didn't really have to do any work to get the closest, I don't think. There was actually a field in that database to like the closest to Earth. So it's like, okay, do a filter on that, take the first 100. I actually had the first 300 on there, but
actually, yeah, it was the information was in the database, but we had to just query how absolutely close were that position to the position we are presenting. We're showing. But it was a basic query. It wasn't really difficult.
Where X is 50 away and 50 home,
Yeah.
and where Y is 50 away.
and the reason you don't see like 300, even though we're filtering 300, is we can't quite figure out like the depth buffer thing in OpenGL as well. It's usually like graphics problems.
Yeah.
How did the star database map coordinates, and then how did you translate that to OpenGL coordinates?
The STAR database actually came with XYZ coordinates, so that was pretty simple.
Sweet.
The first
It's- I
database we
think
found
it's-
didn't, it was all arcs and things like that, but then we searched a little harder and found another one.
Their XYZ coordinates, I think, are in parsecs
Yeah.
or something. So
Excellent.
You just,
So we had-
you just like arbitrarily like scale it, and you're like, okay, that looks like I can see things. There's also magnitude, so you can kind of scale the stars on how, I guess, how big they are. I think there's brightness as well, maybe. So
Yeah, the color actually is in a I don't know, a concept they use in
color index.
color index, so you have to convert it to something that it's actually usable.
Yeah.
So you have to do that as well, even though didn't show.
Yeah. And the star itself didn't actually have color, it had a temperature, so we had to figure out how you get the Kelvin into an actual
Oh, yeah.
RGB value.
Right.
Which apparently is like, there's not actually a good way to do it. None of them are reliable. You just like.
Is OpenGL like the way to represent a static world for a cardboard app?
Yeah, all the demo apps seem to be.
Last question maybe, how did you find the performance of putting your 300 stars in there?
My phone overheats.
On
My phone doesn't work at all.
He's got an older phone, or I don't know if it's older, but it doesn't like have
Oh,
a
it's
gyroscope in it.
really basic, so.
Is this for the 100 stars plug?
um,
Is this the performance for having 100 stars plug?
300.
300 stars.
Mine was 300 is fine.
Mine will be
Yeah.
50 to 100, pretty good.
And it's a what 3-year-old Nexus 4. So yeah, I think I would like to actually have had someone with like really good graphics experience, so we'd actually get them all rendering there, and then get a real idea for what we can do. Because probably would have just like cranked it way up and be like, okay, like let's do 1,000, let's do like 10,000. Let's see if you can actually break your phone.
So you try putting more stars, but it starts lagging. Is that
Yeah.
what happens?
I didn't really crank it up over 300 because I couldn't figure out that depth buffer to actually see them. So I thought, like, why bother?
So what would be, I mean, there are apps out there that you can hold up and you can look at star fields and it'll name them and all that good stuff. What would be next for what you guys see the application of this? I mean, how would you turn this into something that folks will go, oh my goodness, I have to throw away my tablet. I need a 3D viewer because
think-
this is so amazing.
Definitely the next would be getting the stars to like look exactly, I guess, how they're supposed to look. So I don't know, doing some actual like basic like particle rendering stuff, and then display, I guess, the name over the star, and then maybe have something where if you get close enough and you look at it, you could bring up more metadata about it.
Does the demo work? Can I actually?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's. Okay.
Which one should we buy?
Load up the hardware.
So let's see, where's the Big Dipper supposed to be right now? Should we be able to see it?
I don't know.
Orion, any of those?
It's probably called from the depth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, too far out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's more stars this way. Can I move forward?
You can pull the magnet on the left side and it will move you forward, I think. It'll move you and then I think it resets.
Yeah.
Oh,
It might be, it used to move you backwards, I don't know.
It moves backwards actually.
Oh, the square's getting bigger.
Oh no.
Cool.
So you guys can use your app as like a benchmark. Like his phone
Where
was
do
a
we go?
0 star phone.
I
yours was
see
like
a big.
50-ish.
50-ish
Yeah.
star phone.
Nothing. Oh, hey, wow, I like this. 2 stars. How do you go back? Go back.
No, not yet.
Oh, they're going.
Hopefully gonna make it so that when you like look in a direction, it'll turn with it as well.
Yeah.
But
I
not
think
yet.
I've totally missed it now.
Yeah.
I think we've zoomed in past like.
I can maybe
Yeah.
reset it.
Yeah, we're out, yeah,
I'll reset.
well outside the galaxy.
Any more questions?
What's your team name?
Space team?
Space. Space team or Space Wars?
I like space team.
Yes.
Space team.
That's
With
good.
the space team with the Space Explorer app.
Very cool. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
It's really awesome.
You wanted to
I'm
go
excited
next?
to try this. Yeah,
They tried the card for it.
Dad's glasses are.
Okay,
That's not
Oh, wow.
I'm looking for this dad's glasses.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I was just gonna look, how does the magnet work? The magnet.
How's the magnet connected to your phone?
So to detect it? How's it detect? So
There's a compass this creates this changes. So you changes the compass speed in the phone. So
You need to reset. Yes, actually, yeah. Well, I can show you tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
very cool.
So it's like,
All right, note to self. Order Google Cardboard. Guys are gonna have to tell us about that experience.
It's hardware, not software. And so just to get the piece straight up. Yeah. Okay.
Technical difficulties?
Yes. I don't know why my screen showing. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so hi, I'm Fardeen. So the project we had before was the virtual 3D printer. That kind of changed because my teammates kind of moved on with their lives. Yeah. So I got alone and I cooked up something with Arduino. My field of work is home automation, so I was kind of thinking something in that sense and I came up with something. Let's say you had, you know, you wanted to control something with your computer. That's like, yeah, something in that sense. I would say the project name is home automation in a funny way, I guess. So the first, well, this project, it's just like something put together. Dan mentioned some questions during his session that, okay, the button on the joystick is not working, so I made it work. Or like, for example, the LCD is kind of finicky to work with, I made it work. So, you know, that's basically, so what it can do is, there's two programs. There is Arduino, and then there is processing, which is communication, which is a software that runs on the computer to communicate with Arduino. And what I do is basically, if I run this thing, so, and then I say, hello, it will go there, hopefully, yeah. And then if I say C4,
it's gonna blow.
It'll make some noise. Now the application, this is just a very, very simple application. And then there's also volume control. I can, okay, that's louder. Now, if I say,
Does the sound happen every time I press the button?
yeah.
Like a that was easy button?
Yeah. Also, if you move the joystick, the values on the X and Y of the LCD, too bad, I can't go.
That's
No,
volume, right? That's volume.
That's volume, that's joystick.
Okay.
It's very, very sensitive.
Yeah.
So the values are mapped. This is what happens to the X and Y. The Arduino read is a 10-bit integer value that's read from the analog port. So I map it to a 0 to 255 8-bit variable to go on, well, I could easily put the 10 bits easily to the LCD, but you know, just 8-bit universal values, just to the LCD. The frequency, the sound that you hear, here, C4, no, C4. The sound that you hear is done with setting different frequencies from the analog pin, from the digital pin, sorry. So it's done using using very low-level software, actually setting variables into this. So I'm using pin 10, and I'm using the divisors 8, 64, and 256 to say the different tones that you see. So it goes from 8, 64, 256, and then back up to 64, back up to 8. If you want this code, I can share it with you guys. I'm going to share with Dan. So also the applications that if I had one more day for this, I have RF modules that see, these are RF modules, transmitter and receiver. I could have hooked up another Arduino to send some variables, some commands from this to the other Arduino, and we could have a relay attached to that Arduino to turn on something, to turn on your coffee maker or your microwave, washing machine. And the range for this thing is like 100 meters. So yeah. processing is a very, I guess, anybody who's working with Arduino must have processing, because if you want to do two-way communication between computer and Arduino, you have to have something that, in the same sense, it's easy to work with. It has this basically similar code structure as Arduino. Practically, you can copy the same code from Arduino to processing. It's minor changes, but very similar. I think that's. Any questions? Yeah.
What does the API to the LCD look like?
What do you mean?
How are you getting it to display words on there?
Oh, well, good question. There is handy little libraries, open source libraries that I use. Yeah, basically Arduino is a very open platform. You can use other people's, yeah, it's open source. It's not like something that I.
Does the API explicitly let you draw to each of the lines independently? Like, how do you have persistence of the static message and the joystick values changing?
Yes, I can send, there are functions. So LCD begins, so I set the LCD to 16 characters long and 2 rows. And then I can have, let's see, I can have set cursor to different positions of the LCD and write something. Yeah.
Maybe one bit that I missed. So where, like, it seems like there's some state being stored. I'm not actually clear. Like, does the Arduino have like memory space that you can use?
Yes,
or?
it's got I think 32 kilobytes. Yeah. Cool. 32 kilobytes. The Arduino Mega, on the other hand, it has 256 kilobyte, and it's my preference would be to use Arduino Mega. Yeah.
As far as the wiring and stuff of the project goes, was there any challenges there?
Wiring. So yeah, for example, not with that setup, but I wanted to wire up the microphone module. There was some, I couldn't actually get it to work. I don't know why. The Arduino, it said the data sheet, I had to look up on the data sheet. The data sheet said that the analog output gives you can directly hook it up to Arduino. I was sensing some value changes on the analog pin, but there are some, yeah, I had some difficulties with some wiring and some configuration. Yeah. This platform is just fantastic to work with, and I'm actually happy that you organized this event. Yeah.
I'm glad to do it.
Yeah. Any more questions?
I'm good.
Very cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Who's next? All right.
A lot of work for a one-man band there.
What did you
Oh yeah.
Well, today, like around 2 o'clock, I was kind of thinking that it wasn't getting anywhere. So yeah, I started working on this today, like after 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Pardon.
Okay.
All right, Justin Scott. My favorite thing to do as a developer is to enable other people to make cool things. The thing I did before this, which I think I talked about, was helping people make 3D on the web. I've done all sorts of frameworks at work. I build toolkits so that other developers can do their job better. What I wanted to do originally was make a cardboard SDK for JavaScript, but then I talked to Boris, and he said he was having all sorts of problems with it, so it seemed like it was maybe out of the scope of 2 days in a hackathon. So I settled for the next best thing, which was a cardboard SDK for Unity. How many of you have used Unity before? Okay, so at least one of our judges. It's a great platform. It allows a lot of non-technical people to make technical things, which is fantastic. And what I noticed is you can use the cardboard on Unity currently, but a lot of it is just kind of bringing disparate scripts together. It's kind of just a hodgepodge, and you have to do a lot of development work yourself. So I wanted to make a cohesive package that was really accessible and really powerful for people to use. I'll probably, I guess, pass this around in a little bit, but I'll explain what I did first. So there's already, like I said, there's already bits and pieces. I was able to pull a lot of the gyroscope stuff and visual part of it out from another package, which is fantastic. And I've been paying attention to all the licenses, so I know what I can actually release. But there was still the scripts for actually interacting with the device, which I think is probably one of the bigger parts of the benefits of cardboard, were really lackluster. There were some on the net, they took a lot of work to get working, and once you did, all they would do was detect when you clicked down. One of the things that I was really wanting to get into once I started learning about it and looking at this is, well, I was designing a game in my head where, which I will show you, you hold down the button to move forward, and you can quickly do it to, quickly click it to interact with objects around you. And that just wouldn't be possible with the frameworks that were out there. So now the framework will detect when you've gone down, it will detect when you go up, it'll detect how quickly you do that so you can determine if it's a click or not. It'll figure out if it's held down. There's all sorts of good pieces that give you a lot more data. And it was a really interesting experience because it was dealing with raw compass magnetic vectors, which are not the most intuitive thing. Unity doesn't have, it has good debug tools, but there were a lot of learning to get used to them. And I couldn't debug it. I had to debug it on the device because there is no magnet on my computer, unfortunately. Well, probably a good thing. Actually, that's probably one of the things I wanted to do going forward with it is make good debug tools, because it took a lot of time just to upload the thing on my phone, bring it back down, bring it back up. Yeah, so now would probably be a good time for me to actually turn it on and pass it around to you guys. I made a quick demo.
Are you also able to show?
It's not my phone.
Your deliverable was essentially an SDK.
Yes.
Are you able to show some of the code?
I could. I'm glad you asked. If I wouldn't grab my computer, I could show you guys.
That'd be great.
While you explore in this beautiful virtual world, which will load on like slow anytime now. There you go. Castle's over there.
I see it.
So like I said, hold it down to start walking forward. And the controls might be a bit finicky. If they are, just click a lot and they'll probably reset themselves. Ah, Mike, one.
Whoa. Wow. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
And that took me, with the SDK, it took me maybe an hour, and the majority of the time was actually learning how to like make a character controller and Unity things. Actually using it was not difficult. I hope I have a port that actually takes this.
What port do you have on there?
Not a map connector, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mario.
I've seen it's great. Yeah, walk around.
And I had a lot of help with people kind of testing this out. A lot of the people in my group were making the work laptop. Don't look at all my trade secrets. A lot of friends just testing out things. And Mike helped me out with, I don't use C# very often, so he helped me out with kind of best practices of that, which is super awesome. Input and examiner. Okay. C# or JavaScript, but if you're serious about it, probably C#. So I'll show you from the, actually no, I'll show you from the SDK itself.
I'm crashing into a lot of things.
Oh, what do I actually do here? What's the interesting stuff? Yeah, so I wish I had the old code to show you guys. So a lot of it is just in this update here. You can see the parts at the top are dealing with just figuring out where the magnitude and the baseline are to figure out relatively how much I've moved, so I know if it's going down, if it's going up. There was a lot of refactoring code to make it look nice and readable.
because
Whoa,
it wasn't.
I can change the colors on the spheres when I bump into them. and
Oh, yeah.
touch them.
So the spheres detect, they will change colors on down, one will change colors going up, and one will change colors on click. It's a fun little debug thing. And there's a lot of cool little details in here, like when you click down, it'll actually probably jostle the device a bit, which messes with the compass. So you have to make sure to check if it's jostling or not. I think the important stuff, so when I actually report whether you've gone down or if you've clicked or not, it's all handled through event managers, which in C# are a little verbose, but basically you can hook into any of these managers to be able to determine, like, I want to go do this function whenever I go down or whenever I click. There's a click threshold, so you can determine how fast people are able to go down and up in order to click. Some basic stuff is the magnet held and the seconds that the magnet is held. I actually don't use in the example that I have, other than for the spheres, I don't use any of the event handlers. I just use if it's down and for how long it's been down. So those were super helpful. And a lot of the stuff that I've done has been driven just by, like, I wanted to make this thing. What do I need to get this thing done? Which is always a fun way to be working. Yeah, so there's just a lot of good stuff, and hopefully a lot of very readable code. That's something that's super important to me, especially in, like, the Unity asset store is filled with code that is just not, it works, it's not great. So yeah, was there anything?
How much time do you spend on the SDK versus how much time you spent on creating that demo, which is impressive?
Probably 80 to 90% of my time was on the SDK. It was all of yesterday, at least this morning, and big parts of after this morning. Like I said, it took me maybe two to actually set up that scene. The rest of it, I had a plane and I had those 3 spheres that you see there that were my debug spheres. Other than that, yeah, it was all SDK time.
This is all packaged up in your example character controller.
Oh, yeah. So I have, there's a lot of stuff in here. Ignore these 3 folders. That's all just for the scene itself. I have cardboard input, which is the thing I'm showing you. Cardboard event, which I don't use for anything right now, but is expandable for the future. An example thing, a demo, and then the libraries that I use under contributors and a readme that I haven't filled out.
Justin, I was wondering if you'd explain a little bit more, like, where Unity takes over, where your cardboard API is, and where Android is. Because I imagine, like, Unity runs on Android. Yeah. So what this does is provide some kind of.
So I want to show you where it's being updated. So if you pass in acceleration, God, I've got to rename that variable. Ax and compass. Let's go. So it passes in the acceleration and the raw value of the compass. That, I would say, is probably about as far as Unity goes. It gives me the data. A lot of the filtering and stuff was from code that I had brought offline. So there are bits and pieces in here that are from, and the original base interaction was from another script online. But, I mean, after passing in that stuff from update, everything is handed off to, okay, what do we do with this data now? Which is all code.
Very cool. Yeah. Are you planning to open source it?
I was planning to sell it on the Unity Asset Store for a very small price.
Oh, sorry. I was going to ask, what is the interaction? So without your packaged SDK, right? What does the interaction look like? Trying to bring in Google Cardboard APIs and the SDK. Like,
so what does the interaction look like?
Yeah, like what does the API interaction look like? How much do you simplify it? Exactly.
So let's go. This is probably the most, I think I make use of, or at least call everything that's available in here somewhere. So I create a cardboard input. Any one of the, if you want to hang on to any one of the events, you create a function and just add it into the event handler. And from that cardboard object, you can also grab
the stuff that I was talking about before, like the seconds the magnet's held down or whatever. Like it is an object. The object has event handlers, and the object has some data that you can grab from it. Other than that, oh, and you need to call an update function, which is just boilerplate. You can toss that in. There's a way I can do that. But other than that, it's just that's it. You just put it in, instantiate it, and use it.
At this stage, it feels a little more like a driver than an SDK. I don't have callbacks. I don't have ways to register my own handling. I can plug this in so that I can wander my Unity model.
Sure, sure.
But I wouldn't say you've realized your vision of an SDK quite yet.
What is your definition between a driver and an SDK? What is the
driver lets me? I would take your code. I'd plug it in and basically go. I get to walk around in my model in Unity using Google Cardboard.
Sure.
An SDK would let me then more easily interact without having to modify your original source code. I'd be able to add listeners into your SDK. So when I got, say, a click, I could do something besides just the predefined action that you had for the interface with Unity.
But you can already
Maybe
do.
I'm not seeing that.
It's not a predefined. So what I have here, let's use unclicked. So I have cardboard on magnet click. I'm passing in this cardboard click thing in here. It's whatever I defined here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So the gyroscope stuff is absolutely a driver. You just dump that in, and it does all your camera stuff and whatever. But all the stuff that I worked hard on is largely the input part of it.
Right. Okay. If the Starfield team had come and talked to you before they started the would you have given them any advice?
Yeah, if you talked to me at the beginning of this, I would have said, come back in a day and I'll give you all the code for this. Advice, actually, you guys had mentioned that you would use OpenGL, which is fine. It's a great learning experiment. I wouldn't put, unless you really know OpenGL, I wouldn't have put it in a hackathon event because it takes, I mean, you guys have seen it. I don't need to explain it. It takes a long time.
It's like quite tedious.
What language is your guys? Sorry, I missed what you actually wrote it in. Was it just like C++? Java. That's not so bad. Yeah, because if you'd written it like C++, that's just adding on top of, yeah. And I mean, even if you use OpenGL, actually, depending on what you guys are doing, I've done some pretty cool stuff with WebGL and 3JS, which makes it just like dead simple to like, oh, create a box, create a sphere, or whatever, just put it in this position. It's not.
I just thought you were mentioning that like, because you're using Unity, you can actually deploy it to iOS as well. There's nothing Android specific about this.
It's a smart
the only
man.
difference is that the Compass input may not work necessarily, but with other technology like Motion or whatever else you can track this as well.
If I had an iOS device, I would gladly start testing that out. Although apparently someone was saying that they put an iOS in a cardboard once and it discolored the screen near where the magnet was. So if anyone has a disposable iOS device I could borrow.
It permanently discovered?
Sorry?
It permanently discovered?
I think it went back afterward.
Yeah.
But it's still a bit of a scary thing.
Well, only with using plastic. With aluminum, I can't imagine that happening.
Really? I don't know. Android only.
We good?
Who's next?
Oh, I should probably get my.
Oh, that's right.
It stole your phone.
I'm also using someone else's phone, and it seems to like updates or.
Wow. Hey Justin, were you doing that solo?
Like the coding SDK part of it?
Yeah.
Largely. Like I said, the rest of my team was helping out with. They were also working on it from different aspects, and they were helping to kind of test things out and try out their own little Unity experiments. But everything I wrote in that code that I showed you was from me.
Thanks.
Cool.
All right. Vayrock.
Hello, everyone.
I'll quickly tell you where the idea came from. We're Give Change. This is the awesome team that built this app today. I had recently moved here to Vancouver, I think about a month ago now, and I noticed that compared to Calgary, where I'm from, there are quite a bit more homeless. Like the homeless population is a lot larger. And I'm living downtown, so usually, frequently during the day, I get asked for change. And the first thing I noticed about being asked for change is I don't have spare change. Like I don't have cash on me ever. And I think it's just going to become more and more of a problem not having cash in your pocket. And then I know another first thing that a lot of people think is, am I really helping this person? Are they just going to take the money and go kind of feed addiction? And then also, it's just a temporary fix, right? Like you're helping them out for that day. Even if they do go get food, you're just helping them out for that one moment. You're not really helping the broader problem. So that's where Give Change came from. And Give Change is going to be a system where we would distribute these QR codes. Does anybody know who this is? Yes, yeah, exactly. So we distribute these QR codes unique to an individual, and they would use it instead of panhandling for change. You then scan it with our website, and then it brings you to this screen, most important. So you're then given a picture of the person asking the user, their name, and then a quick bio. So you instantly know a little bit about this person, which is just a huge difference from kind of normal interaction, I guess. And then also you're told that your donation goes directly to Save on Meats in this case. The plan is to partner with restaurants that are willing to work with us, and then you see the donation amount, and then you can also donate a percentage of the transaction to a charity to help the kind of overall cause. So I mentioned it'd be ideal to kind of partner with a charity so that they can actually distribute the QR codes to people. And one thing that's really cool about the QR codes is they're completely disposable. They can come back, say, hey, I lost my QR code. They'll be, okay, what's your name? We have their photo on file. They can give a new one out. Save on Meats, a couple of our team, actually, they went out yesterday and started speaking to restaurants to see if anyone would be interested in partnering with us. And the guy at Save on Meats, Mark, I think his name is actually doing a token program, which is basically this exact thing, only like physical tokens. So we're told to contact him through Instagram, which we did, and he got back to us. So we're speaking to him this week about partnering with him. Apparently he's really interested in this kind of outreach. So just really quickly, this is our team. We had a lot of people, there's a couple of people not here today, but they all did a really fantastic job. And I can show you a quick demo of it. So this is a responsive website, obviously kind of most accessible to everyone. Any passerby is going to have a web browser on their phone. Just for the purpose of the demo, I'm showing you in the browser. I'll show you the create a new user. So this would be the job of someone at the distribution center. Or you can even do this like on a mobile phone and then just print it out there and give them the QR code. Yeah, so you just enter the full name, or yeah, full name, a little bio, like any of it helps. It's not really a bio, but it's a tagline. Take the person's photo, you sign up. There's the preview of their bio, and then we format the QR code in like a nice printable way so that they can have something to show people. I'll just take this QR code. It also shows their balance here. So they would then display the QR code. Person comes by, scans it with our website or our QR code reader if they happen to have that on their phone. So once that's done, they see the picture of the person, their name, bio, where their money's going, and then they can donate. And right now we're using Stripe, which is super like that simple and awesome. We want to integrate Bitcoin was suggested to us a few times. Just our first instinct was not a lot of people have that on them at the moment, but definitely would be, I mean, if it's something that we can add, more payment methods, the merrier really. So I tell you, give now. This just goes to kind of like a stub thanks page. And then this person would bring their QR code to the restaurant. The restaurant would scan it, see their picture and their name, and then also see how much balance they have. You can then redeem that balance for food, and that's pretty much the gist of the system. So that was. Thank you. Questions? Yes.
How does the redemption work?
So they would just take their QR code to the partnered restaurant. Restaurant scans it much like we would, only they'd be signed in, and then they're kicked into that page, that user page that displays a balance. Then they would be able to subtract a balance, redeem credit, basically, and then give them a sandwich or food.
And so we did the picture as the security mechanism, since we felt a lot of homeless people didn't necessarily have IDs or other ways of verifying their identity. So if they lose their QR code, they lose their account, or just to prevent people from selling these cards for cash, doing the picture identification.
We're also thinking about implementing like a ceiling system, so there's a fixed amount of how much the user can get on a weekly basis or a daily basis, so they can exploit the system. The system is about food.
Couldn't go in and get, say, like 10 sandwiches and sell them for money. Especially preventing turning this directly into cash. We want it to go towards food or shelter even.
What about unscrupulous restaurants who, oh great, I've got your QR code now, so bing, 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 I just gave you 5 sandwiches. Don't you remember, buddy?
That's the other part with the purchase ceiling.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's kind of works twofold. So preventing them from overusing, and then also the restaurant from overcharging.
Also, it seems like this would be administered by like another organization that would ostensibly be in charge of managing those partnerships with the restaurants, or
yeah, would hold the money and would pay the restaurants out weekly or whatever. Yeah,
it could be offloaded onto like a not-for-profit. That'd be fantastic. And then it would be kind of an open source project that can be rolled out into any city.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Have you thought of a way for like guys to know what their current balance is, so they don't go to a restaurant and oh, I don't have any money after you're like away from them kind of check that?
It's not. I don't know. We didn't really consider that, but I guess
they can scan their own code or go to the website. We didn't. It is difficult if they're homeless, but go to a library and.
I think right now it's just the restaurant that has their balance information, just so that like when I'm scanning their code, they don't want me to know their balance. So it's kind of trying to keep it simple without having them to have user accounts and everything like that. So. Sorry, go.
Just wondering, what about identity thefts? What if someone actually looks like Ted Williams? Not him, but like another homeless person and steals their identity to steal that money.
Yeah, I think that's the problem that even happens with like your ID, right? If someone stole your ID, they could use your ID if they look like you. So it's something that we just don't want to be overcomplicated about security. We want this to be super simple and disposable, so easy to
deal with problems as they arise.
Yeah.
We did talk about adding pins in, but felt like at least for this minimum viable product, that wasn't really necessary.
Yeah.
The back?
I was just going to suggest that the person, the restaurant has access to a passphrase that a person can say,
yeah, sure. It could just be part of the user page that comes up, what's the passphrase? Yeah, exactly. That's great.
Yeah, it's more of a business side of things, but have you thought of turning this into crowdfunding, kind of like Kickstarter in a way, but for people instead of projects?
So one idea I had, we've had talking to each other, was to even expand that to, say, street artists. Even instead of they have a little hat, maybe have a QR code so you listen to your song, and then you scan that, and then maybe they even have a home page where you can download an MP3 of one of their songs, for example, before donating.
If you wanted, you have their donation URL, so that could be shared to anybody to donate at that point. You could tweet it out, be like, "Hey, this guy's awesome. I see him every day. Buy him a sandwich," and then instantly he has $100 worth of food, right?
The other part we found kind of compelling is you don't really need to deal with it right there. You could scan somebody's code, go to your office or whatever, and then later, you look at it, you've got their whole bio there, you can make the donation. And being able to actually read that bio and see their face kind of makes a little bit more personal connection.
There's actually a lot of QR codes. There's something built in the QR code where if they just have like a lot of Android ones of QR code readers, they'll actually open up the website to the profile instead of having to go to the website.
That works as well. We just wanted to make it easy if people didn't have that app installed, that it would just work straight from them.
The code is the entire URL. So if you were to scan them with that, you would still get to the same page. Yeah.
Have you thought about being able to donate directly to the restaurant? So that instead of an individual receiving, just throw $5 to save off the store?
Yeah, so it's like a kind of like a pool of money for.
Yeah, just anyone who's comfortable.
That's a sweet idea. Like one of the ways we started talking about the system, one of the ways was this pooling system. There's two ways. You can direct donate to the user and then the user apply for the restaurants, or donate to the restaurants and then the user uses from the restaurant. There's definitely room for that system as well. I think in the end, this might grow into a thing where the donor actually, kind of like humble bundles, where the donor actually selects how much goes to what in the future.
Yeah, I think about that, but our thought was more that, it's a replacement for giving change. You want to sort of donate to a person, but that did cross our minds.
So who worked on what in this project?
We're all kind of front-end devs, so we all worked on it in parallel. We picked it up starting with
Except me, I'm not front-end dev.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. Make one hell of a front-end dev. We kind of all just worked in parallel. We started working on Meteor yesterday. I don't think any of us had ever worked on Meteor, but it was just an interesting thing to try out. I know you were working on Android.
I was working on Android. I don't really have much. So the Android Studio kind of hard on me this afternoon. So
technical challenge.
Yeah,
but
I will admit they did more than me.
But he was the one to talk to.
But yeah, I went out and I was one of the people. I don't remember his name. Jason. Jason and me went around and tried to get partnerships from restaurants. So we talked to a bunch of people, and nobody was interested in doing a thing over 2 days. But Save on Meats was the one we talked to, and they were really open to the idea. They told us doing this tomorrow didn't really work for them. Yeah. But they said within the week even they were really receptive to the idea.
Did you talk to any actual homeless people? So, they understood the idea of they have any problems, they really want to experience as users.
We did. I don't think any of us did, but it's definitely on our agenda for sure.
Yeah, and that's also kind of like the social aspect. Like, because in some ways, I think it's trying to solve the no change problem, but at the same time, I think it's still useful. We don't want to take away the social interaction that, it's nice to just talk to them, right?
Yeah.
And anyway, when you just take out your without like with the social aspect of this, like
that was
would it be weird when just people walking by just take a
the bio is meant to help that. So kind of the bio is definitely more than I'm going to learn about that person without just going to give them a bit of change right at that very moment. And it might actually initiate conversation and be like, oh, hey, you're a carpenter and you're laid off. So I'm sorry to hear that. What's going on right now?
Yeah, I feel like this actually may help more than not help the interaction, because I feel like it's the opposite right now where people don't really even read what it's on the board anyway. I feel like if the person has a little time off to read on their own time on cell phone, that can actually improve the social aspect of it.
Yeah. Anything particularly technically demanding in this project?
I think it was the Meteor learning that.
Yeah, we've kind of was trying to get in Bitcoin integration at the end of the day today, and if things aren't already packaged for Meteor, it's a little challenging to get them into the system. I've tried importing done packages, but it was definitely having some conflicts and trouble finding the libraries. But I guess that's just part of the learning curve of the new platform.
Right. And probably as a complete project, the actual the money part of it. So having the account dole out money to a restaurant, like we have all the transactions and how much we'd owe a restaurant, say every week or every month, but that side of like an actual bank. Oh, sorry.
So from my own research, I found that like something between 2 to 5% of homeless people will be panhandling, the other 95% of homeless people are generally on a pathway of like finding social assistance, finding social housing, and then trying to find work that will earn them enough income to find a place to live. So do you think that there might be barriers to actually getting money to people who are homeless, who aren't panhandling? And do you foresee an increase in panhandling, sort of a moral hazard of like people being like, you know what, this whole going on social assistance thing is really hard. I'm just gonna pick up a QR code and like, you know, sustain myself all the time.
Well, I think like there's definitely ways to get food now. Like I could just go to the food bank and pick up food. Like part of the transaction going towards a charity to kind of really get the 2 to 5% off the streets completely.
Yeah,
that would be fantastic. So.
Well, the people that are panhandling are not necessarily the ones that are. Yeah. That's what I'm saying is that people who are panhandling are a small percentage of the people that are living on the streets.
Right.
Well,
at least they help them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they definitely be, they almost be like ambassadors for the charities that are helping out the other percentage of people.
Yeah.
It brings the two populations closer together, right? So like,
yeah.
I'd know more about the guy that I see every single day.
Yeah.
Rather than, and then maybe people would care more about charities and then donate more to them. So.
Yeah.
Very good. Good. Cool. Thanks,
Thank you.
Yeah, like it's a goal.
Something about why funded company. We're going to be crowdfunding. Sort of. I definitely like if I ask for it. Let's find out. Like a number that
How many more people still need to present?
For the future of like students.
So 4 groups, right? Cool. Almost there.
How many more? Sorry?
They just had it.
Cool. We better pick it up then.
Yeah, let's
All right.
pick up the pace.
Okay. Yeah.
For some reason, the image is dim.
Just warming up. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
It's a home theater.
Sorry?
There it is.
No. Just a regular.
Hello, hello everyone. My name is Amir Amin4, and I'm active in 2 areas usually. Would be video processing based on what I did for my PhD, character recognition, object recognition, that type of thing. And the other one would be web. And most of the time, I try to come up with the ideas that the community members are helping other community members, because that helped me a lot when I moved to Canada. So I got a lot of help from fantastic people. When I came yesterday here, I had the privilege of working with Roberto, Jenny, Justin, and so many awesome guys here. So yesterday, I just spent time to learn, and I just spent time to team up with these great guys. That was the very first aim that I had to come here, and I'm happy that I fulfilled that. The other thing was that just coming up with the idea that might be helpful to the community. So that was the goal. So I don't know how much I can achieve that. So the idea is called First Aid on Call. Perhaps it speaks for itself that most of the time you have issues that can be resolved with that. So we're trying to solve the problem in a large scale, if possible, saving lives, and to be in the area that I'm interested in. So yesterday I had this idea. I just wanted to pitch it, so I spoke to the guys and people, encouraged me to come and actually work on it. I changed my mind. I went and joined Justin's team, and again I came back to work on my ideas. So hopefully there's something to show you guys. So the problem is that population is aging, so people are getting older and older, and there are families who have only single members. So if there is anything happening to these guys at home or even on the street, there is nobody to help them. There is nobody who is certified with first aid or CPR or that sort of thing. And you all know that many people die on the world simply because they did not receive CPR in time. So that's the cycle referred to that. Or even there is a single life that we can save, might be the time to do something about it. I know there are so many other problems, but we are tackling problems which have simple solution. It's feasible to actually tackle those. That is why 911 is there. It is very good. It's very helpful if you get the help in time. But what if there are problems in large cities, or like traffic jams, or the guy is at home and the door is locked or something, or that sort of thing? This is the time that neighbors can help other neighbors. So prior to that, I set up a website. I call that hineighbor.ca. Using that website, our neighborhood are helping each other in terms of how to parent your kids, or how to deal with your dogs, or that sort of thing. So this is some other level. So I'm using a little bit of web development experience that I have from that. So I came up with this URL today. So I registered the domain name today, and I uploaded some of the code that I developed today. So I'd like to ask you guys to open this website on your browser of your smartphone. And once you open the website, you feel a kind of like vibration on your cell phone. And then I explain what it does. Also, at the same time, open the website in my browser here. So this is what you get.
What was the URL?
First aid on call.ca.
Vibration not supported. Use Chrome or Mozilla. I'm on Chrome.
I am on Chrome.
Okay. So if you have the updated browser and if it is HTML5 compatible. So I went for HTML5. The reason was that, first of all, unfortunately, I don't know how to implement apps. I'm very good at Java, and I work for Microsoft, but I have no idea about this thing, application development, unfortunately. That's why I came up and got help from you guys. So it's HTML5 based, and also I heard that if you're very good at HTML5, we can use the HTML5 functions to actually call to the native calls of those smartphones using PhoneGap, that sort of thing. So I had that hope, or later I can help from you guys who are familiar. So in this map, by the way, this map gets updated live. So here is your actual position using the HTML5 functions, geo kind of function that is implemented in the HTML5 of your browser if you support it. And these are the volunteers. So what happens is that if you want to offer help to your neighborhood, and if you're a certified CPR or a certified first aid help provider, you just go to the website, you register yourself. I know there are a lot of liability issues involved, and I'm going to elaborate about those at the end of the presentation. But suppose that they have done everything and it's already there. So these guys are the volunteers. And this guy, the red one, which is our position, suppose that, it calls 911. So I said the 911 is doing its job well, but the problem is traffic, right? The transportation and that sort of thing. So suppose that 911 is trying its best to do their job. So 911 picks up the phone, and since these guys are already on the server, the volunteers, their location is constantly being reported to the server by two ways. One would be they have this browser always open on that URL on their cell phone, or we have an app which constantly does that. So either way, it is the possibilities of feasibility. So using the latitude, longitude, the closest person, the closest volunteer, who's certified, by the way, gets the call and goes to their home. We are speaking of neighborhood. So this guy can trust the neighborhood, and there are many other stuff. So we are trying our best not to let
opportunities to get to this website or do the eavesdropping. Oh, this guy is about to die. Let me go home and rob him. So he cannot do anything. So this is getting updated live, but these are not from database. I did not have time to come up with database, so I just hard-coded the position of the volunteers, but this one is constantly being updated. There is another thing. Suppose that you are a good first aid certified person, but you are not a doctor, and you go about, you are actually now above the patient, you're giving CPR, there are things happening that you don't know about. And you have problem, you want to talk to the doctor, so you have ways to pick up the phone and talk to the doctor, or if there's a possibility, you look at the future, if there's a possibility that there are doctors on call, there are also volunteers, they're at home, but they're willing to help their community, right? So they have their cell phone in their pocket and they get called, again, through the vibration, right? And there is this thing, the video chat. Again, these credentials, you can use the credentials you can, if you get back to that URL. And if you click on this guy, I suggest you guys to click on that. So 5 users can concurrently do the video chat to the WebRTC. Again, the WebRTC is the API which is already embedded in, by the way, recent browsers. So if you haven't updated your browser, in the past, it's not going to work. And the credentials are user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4, and the password is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is for this project I put up there. So if you click on that, I just pick user 5 for myself, but user 1 to user 4 for you. Let's see what happens. So what happens is that since, like I said, it is HTML5, it lets you to connect with this guy. There is, okay, the another person there. So he's a doctor, and I'm about the patient. So, or I can actually do the same thing on my own browser, but because this is my laptop, right? So let's see if it is compatible with the browser itself. The doctor does not pay attention, right? Okay. Which username did I pick? 4. 4. Okay. So I picked user 1. So that'll be me, and
it doesn't look like you.
Please, a little bit.
Did you pick user 1? Okay, yeah, so many doctors. See how good this is. So many questions. All right. Yeah. Now I have the new problem that I don't know which one of these doctors to speak to. And everybody. So we are taking advantage of the HTML5. So HTML5 gives us this capability that we can use our browser, so we can come up with these projects very easily. And on the technical side, I'm going to show you what kind of libraries I use, because obviously this is not my work. I could not do that within one day. I took. Oh, you have the first aid certificate. Okay, you just sign up. Sorry to interrupt you guys. So I just get back to the presentation. You already have that, by the way, on your browser, right? So getting back to the presentation, I just want to elaborate on about the challenges that I did not even tackle, the challenges that I don't know how to tackle. That's why we need help. And yeah, so we were here. So that was the URL that I registered through GoDaddy. Today it cost me $5. And so here are the challenges. We need server-side implementation to let the volunteers register. We need constantly storing the last location of the patients. It's not necessary, because you're able to pick up the phone if you're in trouble, if you can dial the phone and call 911. But this is also a possibility. Technically, it is possible to do so. And the liabilities also, there are issues to validate the certificates of the volunteers. There are so many issues that, honestly, I don't know how to tackle those. And we need a secure network, because we don't want to allow people to do the eavesdropping, that sort of thing. So maybe RSA would be a good approach to secure our network, the public-private key exchange that I'm using arithmetic, modular arithmetic approaches. And there are other challenges. For instance, converting from latitude to longitude to address. These are the things that are addressed already, and I created some files on my GitHub. I'll give you the GitHub. Actually, the GitHub addresses on that website. First8uncog.ca if you're interested. Honestly, these are challenges for me. It may sound or seem easy for you, but there are a lot of challenges, a lot of issues that I have to tackle, and also having direct access to the native. Now, through the HTML5, if you don't know, through the HTML5, we can have direct access to the GPS on the Android, not the iPhone. So you can write app on the web that actually triggers your GPS and takes you from this location to that location. So next thing would be the volunteer is here, but the volunteer somehow is I don't know, embarrassed or his brain is not working, whatever is rushing stuff. Give him the shortest path through the GPS. These are the technically possible issues that I've already tackled there, but it's not in the code, but I've done it already. So there's a little bit of mathematical challenge that because we are on this sphere, right? So we are not using the Cartesian coordinate system, which is very easy to measure the distance between this point and that point, right? There are challenges around that, but since we are only focusing on the neighborhood, we can easily use like d equals radical, x2 plus y2, that sort of thing. So we can simplify that. But I have not implemented that in my code. So the code that I showed you, the volunteers, like I said, they are not from database. They're like hard-coded in there. But these are the things which are technically possible. So the whole story is that if there's a simple solution for a problem that actually relates to saving the life of people, why not to try it? So that's it. Okay.
How much time do you spend on the RTC like group video chat?
Oh, the video chat was not something that I did today. The video chat was something that I did like months back, and honestly, I spent entire month on that.
Yeah, I'll be very impressive if you did that in 2 days.
No. There is no way that. And by the way, I used a set of libraries. I use wrappers on. Oh, by the way, these are the things that I put on vibration, that sort of thing. If you will have access to that. The thing that I use for the WebRTC is from a very generous person whose name was Moskhan or something. So I just use the wrapper on WebRTC. I use WebSocket for the real-time connections at work, but I never use WebRTC. That's why I just leverage this wrapper.
And there's no server? It's VPN.
No, the server is mine. I have
so the video does route through server.
Yeah. So the thing, well, I'm using 2 servers. So this is my host for the file in here. So I just put up there. I have another server for the WebSocket thing. So I posted those codes that you saw there onto the server. So the server is serving the video thing. And again, if you want to judge me based on the video, I just integrated this code. Because somebody approached me today that, what if when we are close to the patient, what if we have a chance to technically video chat with the doctor? So I just got the idea, why not to leverage the thing that I did in the past. But the rest of the code, again, the thing that you see about the Google Map, that sort of thing, these are also based on my experience in the past. So when I came here, I just wanted to be a team member of those gentlemen, Justin and Roberto, and I tried so hard to integrate the video, because while we're in virtual reality, we have a problem that we cannot see where we are walking, right? So that would be so fun if they could take advantage of this camera. And aside from that, it would be so much of fun if we could create augmented reality. This is something that I did for my PhD, but I tried so hard. Unfortunately, I did not have the knowledge to do so, so I gave up today, started this project. But so many things I learned about Unity and stuff.
just like on the CPR thing, like it's really interesting. So personally, I had the unfortunate circumstance of being in a situation where somebody needed emergency CPR recently. I was like downtown in Yaletown, like 2 blocks from a fire department, 2 blocks from an ambulance station. And it's interesting, like there's kind of like this, it's this weird rare situation you don't get into that much, right? Where it's like, oh, this person's dying there. What do I do, right? So it's interesting just being in that. So it's cool that you're focusing on this kind of thing. I guess one question, I guess, for you would be, I'm trying to think here. I'm thinking a little bit, I guess, about the liabilities and stuff of anybody wanting to intervene. I know, like, for me sitting there with a person that I'm like, you know, I have the same kind of training or whatever, but do I actually want to get involved there? How do you think we can encourage people to get certified, take this training, and be prepared for this kind of situation?
You have to make a decision instantly, okay? So what do you do if you see somebody just about to fall down or die or whatever? Are you thinking of, oh, if I do that, I'm gonna be responsible, or just ignore it, you know, just pretend I haven't seen it? So it just depends to you, to your personality or attitude or whatever. But if you feel the responsibility, why don't you just go for it and stay with, what if that person would be one of your loved ones, right? What would you expect to happen to your loved one if somebody is in trouble, right? So I saw a TED talk. They implemented this idea by using the motorcycles, right, in Israel and Palestine. And the guy who presented the idea, and he said now there are like 6,000 motorists around the world, you know, working on the same idea, because motorcycles can get through the traffic, right? Especially in like crazy cities when there is no law or something, you can get through the cars and everything. So they said, when the call centers receive the calls, we will be the very first one to get notified. We get there, we provide the first aid, and we would wait for the ambulances, which is very well equipped, right? So that guy described so many scenarios. He said, my dad was helped by a Palestinian, right? And that Palestinian was one of the volunteers, right? So these are the moral issues. I'm not talking about liabilities. Liabilities would be, we have to make sure that only the trained people get involved into this, not the opportunists, right?
A lot of the technical challenges you mentioned is related to geocoding. Have you looked into things like different geocoding APIs that you just plug into if you're interested in working on this past the hackathon?
This is the ones that I use are purely provided by Google Map. You know, those are those APIs, and I've already tackled those. I have no problem using the HTML5. So if the navigator suffers geolocation, I leverage that. It's very accurate. Even on my laptop, it just shows exactly the location of my house.
I see. I mean, like lat long into address, like one of the slides you mentioned had a bunch of technical challenges.
Oh yeah, the technical challenge is that, for instance, here I didn't know how to do it.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. That's the problem is that I didn't know how to do it. So a lot of the time, and I didn't find any good solution on Stack Overflow or here or there, right? So that's why I put it on GitHub so that other people do not suffer, you know, and go through the same thing that I did.
Oh, there isn't a Google Maps API for doing those use cases though?
Yeah, from Google. Yeah, I leverage.
There is. Oh,
okay. It's not that. Yeah, I have no way of you know, inventing this by myself because it talks directly to the wireless and also the IP address and the it used so many things for determining the geolocation. There's a wraparound it. I did not look into. I didn't have to do anything except knowing what is that function, what is that API that I have to leverage. That was the only challenge: lack of data, lack of resources. That was the thing.
I see.
Other than that, I did not do any complex computation to measure the distances.
Right, and you shouldn't have to.
Yeah, yeah. Well, why to reinvent the wheel?
Okay.
This is most of the things that I put up together. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Who's next? All right.
Oh, yes. Just keep them coming.
I need the batteries.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, just no worries. Okay, exactly. That brain.
You need. Are there some stickies around? We'll find some. Like sticky notes. Sticky notes, yeah. Sure.
Hi everyone, my name is Navi. The main fields that I am somehow working for programming is virtual reality and computer vision and somehow image processing. But for this hackathon, I selected something from the field of HCI. Very simple idea.
Yep. Mirror displays.
Maybe you have two screens.
Two screens.
Yeah, that's fine.
Pretty amazing that we made it this far with no display challenges.
Yeah.
Yes.
The main idea is that when we use something like this slider, we use only one dimension for inputting data. We leave the second dimension alone. I use the second dimension for inputting precision. For example, if you want to 30, we can use this kind of input. As another example, for example, it is a simple video player. We can just move through the video, but if we use the second dimension, we can see the thumbnails and go through the third layer to use another precision. Somehow we can use multi-level inputting of data and presenting data. For example, if we have a vast amount of information that we want to go through, we can use this we can use three perpendicular dimensions, 1, 2, and go to the third dimension. The idea was just it, and there wasn't any challenge to implementing.
Have you ever tried to scrub a video on your mobile phone and like Netflix fast forward through it or something? It's a pain in the butt to get like the exact frame. I was wondering, how do you think this would translate from the computer here, where we have pretty precise mouse, over to a mobile device or any other touch device?
Yeah, of course. Sometimes because I publish some news about mobile phones in some website, I want to capture a single frame from the video. I see that I cannot just fine-tune the frame. But if the player has something like this, I can just go through the exact frame. We can put something like it below the video player. Any question?
For this one, for this demo, like I couldn't see a number. So it's what's the third level changing? Like you said that it's a like one-dimensional and then vertical, and then you go horizontal again. So what's the third level does?
Third level can be just go, for example, if you want to enter some codes of video in 3 parts, we can go through it and go downward and then go right.
Okay. I don't think it was wired up in this demo.
So each change basically lets you get different granularities for sensitivity. Like, for example, each level I go deeper into your control, I just get more granular sensitivity.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you start off with the most atomic level sensitivity, you're
Is the 3rd level wired up here? Are we actually seeing? Yeah, that's.
Two levels.
Yeah.
So right now your demo is only 2 levels.
Yeah. I just implemented 2 levels.
It's the idea that you could add 3rd or even 4th.
And also we can add some different dimensions. For example, if we had list box, we can go through the list box and the 2nd dimension be the letters or jumping to exact letter. Or here, the 3rd dimension perhaps can be some information, some key points to jump. Any other questions?
With cardboard, you have so few user controls other than that head direction. Do you think maybe you could use something like this to navigate?
Yeah, of course. Yesterday I was thinking about some ideas like it, but I prefer to. I thought that I cannot implement in this short time. I prefer to just show some conceptual demo. But I think we can use it.
Is this all in Flash right now?
Yeah. Today I asked people to help me to implement it in JavaScript, but nobody was volunteer.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you.
Thinking about like rapid precise input and like when you need it, and like the closest thing I can think of is like scrolling through videos.
Well, right now, we already have that on even for like you press a code.
Yeah, and then
on
you like
iOS.
scroll down. Actually, I guess there's
You press a code and then it just expand and then give you more resolution for scrolling through video. So I guess it's taking one step ahead to have multiple level of resolution.
Yeah, I guess the other one, like, I just finally discovered, I didn't know this.
Yeah, that's a new feature in iOS.
Yeah, so it feels like maybe that, like say adjusting aperture, adjusting like some particular controls.
Just show that I'm on the mobile. On the mobile, like I definitely think like textures is like controls like multi-dimensional gestures.
Can I get 2 volunteers to go to a certain IP address? So whoever's got a laptop open and someone in the back area. Yeah, you please. It's 192.168. Well, obviously it's that. 5.33. And the port is 9999. So that's 192.168.5.33. Port 9999. I would ask that not everyone goes there because I don't want to overload the server. But if you're there and maybe someone over there wants to see that screen, and maybe that should be good. Everyone else can see this one.
I guess we should know the routers.
Oh, is it? I'm on profile, yes. Did you guys?
Oh, okay.
Did you guys get connected? Are you connected?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's okay, I need it. I need it. All right, so my name's Luke, and this is Mishra, and try to be brief, but our idea was basically what we like to do right now in the kind of the technical world is we really like to share things. So much of this new technology we've had today and in the future we've been having is about sharing experiences, sharing memories, and sharing what you've done with your friends and people. And so I really recently watched this really cool sci-fi movie where they kind of took this sharing things to the next level. So the way it worked was everyone had this chip that would record all their memories. And then whenever they went out to somewhere, they could kind of just like cast their memories up on like some screen anywhere they wanted to and scroll through them and be like, hey, check out this like awesome ski trip I went on and check this out. Or like, do this weird thing happen on the way there to the bus, like watch, right? And so this really, really seamless like interaction between what you've been doing, your experiences, and then sharing it with your friends. So what we kind of set out to build was a prototype version of that, bringing that into the present from the future. So what we got here is we have this, I basically been walking around with a camera here, streaming video. And then anybody can load up this website, but you can imagine that it would be more seamless than that in the future, where you could actually just like go to a modem somewhere and then throw up your memories. And then it can be controlled from anywhere, from here via gestures. So if you want to show how it works. So here
So it's simultaneously casting on that computer.
All the computers.
Using WebSocket.
And then you want to play. Yes. Okay, and then
yes.
And then if everyone reloads their page now, so I reload, and scrolls to the far to the right, you're in scroll to the right.
Yeah. Slap harder.
The lead motion is hard to calibrate sometimes. Basically, what I was going to show you, we get there to the right, is that okay. There we go. Sorry about that. Here, we should build it. So this is live video that I just took from this phone right here. This is the her style showing of cameras. So kind of like the two pieces of this are instantaneous sharing of your memories and your experiences with people, and being able to sync that sharing across different screens so that everyone can see and can kind of participate and share what you want to experience. So you can imagine that if I had like a lifetime of these videos somewhere, that this interface would be a lot more intuitive. You can kind of scroll back like your family photos, or the last time you were like with your kids or something like that. But in general, like the idea is there, and yeah, that's kind of how we did it. So you want to talk about how we did it?
Yeah. So I don't know how many of you guys actually know what heat motion is. Okay, great. So those of you who don't know, it has pretty much like 3 infrared sensors and I think 2 IR monochromatic sensors, IR sensors as well, and then it tracks your hand in a space which is almost like a hemisphere. I think it's a feet that it tracks through. So a feet diameter, feet radius from the device, and then what we're using is JavaScript. So it's Leap.js running on the browser. It gives you access to the API, and then you can use. It's really easy to use. And then you can integrate with web apps. That's what I like to do, and build a bunch of apps before with media players and other stuff. And this one was unique because we were actually trying to use sockets and trying to trigger events in one computer, and then simultaneously trying to cause them on other devices as well.
So like the video is streaming from this phone using what's called RTSP. That streams to my computer here, which acts as the main server. It chunks it into 60-second segments, or 10-second segments, just for the demo or whatever, right? And then it offers an API which says, here's the videos that are available. And then all the clients run JavaScript that connects and asks for the list of videos. So that's how it displays. And then Leap runs, and when you swipe, it uses a socket server within itself that uses WebSockets that finds out which gesture you are. And then all the clients connected to this server here. And so it pushes that gesture down through all the WebSockets and tells all the clients to update their displays, basically.
So yeah, we're gonna try to build it with cardboard originally. We're stuck trying to stick the leap motion on front of the cardboard and like do your hands. And you can like manipulate stuff in real time space, and you can kind of get like the memory sharing like right in your face. That'd be kind of cool. Like you could like show people stuff, but that proved kind of difficult, so we stopped. Yeah.
Do you have instance where you end up slapping yourself?
It was like duct tape on the cardboard, and then like we're gonna have it on the back of the laptop. I think you could do something cool with virtual reality and this kind of idea of like instant sharing of memories and experiences. All right, any questions?
How do you do that? Oh, sorry. Go for it.
Okay, I was gonna say, I'm curious just in terms of that video streaming protocol you're talking about. So did you guys build an app for the phone then to do that?
No,
Or?
thank God, someone else has already built an app called it's called something creepy like. It's called SpyDroid. And you don't really know it's running, but it just streams to anybody who connects basically. So yeah, it's just an app.
It feels a little bit scared now.
Any other questions?
I didn't recall that the Leap JS stuff gave you actual gesture recognition.
Yeah.
Did you have to? How did you approach
So it
that?
has four gestures that it just supports right away.
Oh, it does. Okay.
The swipe gestures, you can detect swipe, but you would not know which direction. So you just use vectors and do some math, and it's very easy.
Great.
The rest, like the key tap gesture is built in, the screen tap gesture is built in.
Okay.
The fingers and the hands are basically count an object, and it's straight.
Okay, cool. So you get the swipe notification, but not the direction?
It's not the direction, no.
So you had to figure that out?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think recently these guys have released Bone API. So it gives you bone length, joins, and all that other stuff. I ended up building a hand authentication system using Bone API, which is really cool as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you can recognize who's waving in front of you.
Yes, yes.
And another technical challenge was taking the RTSP and creating MP4 files, trying to go through VLC originally, and then the VLC did not deal with it well. And then thank God Jake came and told us about FFmpeg, and that actually does really well with all like the, because it's not very like the wireless is terrible here. Like it's not terrible, but like I was getting 1 second pings from my phone, right? So it's hard to stream video. Yeah. Any more questions? Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Who's left, by the way? Okay, last one. Sweet. Get ready.
How do we make this place the same for Mac?
You can do splat space and then go to displays.
Cool.
We developed a game that's a puzzle game, and it requires an Arduino and runs using Android as an application. And our inspiration was for puzzle games, which is like Escape Vancouver, where you can be locked in a room and try to find clues and escape the situation.
So basically the motivation was if you have a puzzle game, how it normally requires thinking out of the box in order to solve the. Oh, sorry. The inspiration behind our activity is normally puzzle games require thinking out of the box, and we thought, how do we solve the puzzles by thinking out of the box? Meaning we have to take. We basically have to use an external hardware to basically allow user creativity, foster user creativity for them to be able to solve the puzzles.
So for the display, we used the cell phone and we integrated it as an application through Android. And for the controller, we used the Arduino breadboard with 3 input buttons and 1 confirm button to send this signal. And for the architecture, we just basically connected the Arduino computer to the MacBook as a server, and it broadcasts a signal through TCP, and the puzzle app receives they're connected to the internet basically, and then the puzzle app receives the messages. And we can demonstrate a 5-level demo.
Not sure if everybody can see it. So the first screen, it says here, you are in a total darkness. What do you do?
Press the button.
Yeah. So you press the button and confirm. And then it says there, congratulations. Now there's light. Now the second level is asking.
Unlock the door using the code 6.
So,
maybe.
You have 3
That's right.
inputs, and what would you answer to
Binary?
get?
Yeah. Gotta be binary.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So go ahead.
help me out here. Oh, yeah, sure. Great. So I see.
And just confirm. And you go to the
Color on the
next level.
screen.
The judges are very
There's
good
no
at this.
color.
So what's the color of the color? It's like white.
Oh, okay.
So
So
RGB.
just pretend this one is green.
RGB. Done.
The next level goes.
There. Yeah.
0, 1, 0.
And then the last question there.
What is the question?
What does it say? Oh, the press stop this now and you should.
So
So there's 3 colors. Which color would you choose?
Oh, okay. A little bit of hints was.
There you go.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah. Good work. Wow.
So yeah, that's what we did.
Nice.
We know Android interface.
That's a lot of communication work. All in one.
Basically make this simple.
So yeah, any questions?
So on the web service or side, how are you guys listening through to the USB connection data? or whatever?
There's a library called RxTX, so we just Googled it, and fortunately it worked fine for us the first time. So it basically just allows you to listen to a certain COM port with a given baud rate, and then you're going to be able to receive what data you have in there.
That's an Android app, right?
Yes. More.
And
Was there anything tricky on the Arduino side, or is it mainly just listening for sending the signals back, and the server has the smarts, I guess?
Yes, that's right. I guess the most tricky part is we've never done Arduino before, so there were a lot of reading before we were finally able to create that.
Wait, so that was your first Arduino hack?
Yeah.
Nice work.
That's impressive.
And sorry, I missed that. What was the server side built in?
Oh, it's basically just a Java application that's listening over a socket.
Right. Okay. And then what is it sending exactly to the Android? Because you had like different screens for all the different questions. Is that what are you kind of communicating? Is it a static set of pages you're flipping through, or?
So this guy right here sends JSON objects containing which basically encapsulated the response that the user made on the Arduino.
Right.
And then it sends it over to this one.
Okay.
And then this one decides which screen to display based on what answer was provided in the Arduino.
What happens when we give a wrong answer?
Oh, it's gonna say, you know, you get a wrong answer.
Oh.
Things like that.
There's only so many permutations on this one.
So in the future, I think there's a lot of creativity that you can do with the Arduino, especially with the sensors that's available on it. So it's possible to make very, very good puzzles out of this.
That could be a kid's game almost. I mean, all you have to do is put some, cute characters on it. And some licensing deal. You're just what done, right? Nice work, guys.
Thank you.
Cool.
Sure. It's up to the judges.
Did you get it right?
But I installed like the previous testing version on my phone. Maybe later, because I will keep it. Just drag it back. Alright. Hi everyone, my name is Jenny. I'm from UBC, study computer science. So I came here with a really big dream to make virtual reality games that are like first-person shooter perspective. This is gonna be so awesome. And when you're like an expert level, you can hook up some sort of, I don't know, some cool API to that 3D printer and printer trophies, which are going to be game characters. However, I dream big, but I wasn't able to get that far. But it's all about the journey, right? Yeah, so I came here and I teamed up with Justin, Roberto, Amir, and Michael. However, our team sort of fell apart because we each had our own ambitions. While we worked together, we did something really awesome. Maybe you can just demo really quick for the judges because most of you guys seen it already. I was like running around asking you guys to see it anyways. So you guys already seen what Justin had to demo. That's from this side. This is kind of using what he was using because he helped me. This is with the MIT license where you can like use the magnet to actually change the color of a box. So look behind you, there's a cube. And when you click the magnet, the color changes. Yeah. And it's snowing. That's the part where Roberto helped set up as well. So with that, I thought, okay, now I have the camera view, I have the clicking motion, so I should be able to get that working with the first-person shooter game. A little bit about my programming experience. I only used Unity like twice. This is my second time. The first time I used it was to make a 2D game for the Bella project, which is like a hackathon. But when I saw that, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to make a 2D game with that. I had to make a 3D game. So last night I went home and I did tons of research and followed a lot of tutorials to make a 3D game in Unity. Got a bunch of assets from the asset store. I couldn't deploy it somehow. So yeah, that's really unfortunate. So what I can do is I'll show you like a web version of my game. Where then I ask you, like these guys, I was gonna use them as trophies anyway, so it's only fair.
Did you model those yourself too?
No, I'm not that good. So I turn around, I rotate my characters, and I shoot. there's gonna be a really cool elephant. I'll show you guys. The elephant is a bomb, but it's like really hard to kill. So I had to wait.
Kill the elephant.
Is it baby?
Sorry?
What is it? Is it baby?
Oh yeah, it's a baby. Yeah. That's cute, right? Oh yeah, that's your elephant. So because like I couldn't get the version to work, because this is beta version of Unity as well, so I have a testing version. I can show you what my game looks like in like virtual reality, like the game world. So I'll just quickly look that up. Oh, sorry, did you have a choice? Okay, all right then. Yeah, the other one's cooler. Yeah, you get to see the drawing. All right, so that's my presentation. Any questions?
I was wondering if you'd talk a bit about what it's like to program in Unity. So say like in this game, you know, you have a character, you have other characters coming towards you, you're dealing damage to different things. What bits do you actually need to do?
Well, you need to create like managers, a lot of them. Like one to manage the enemies, which is like, I made a few spawning points to like spawn enemies at random time intervals. And also, Unity has this really cool thing, I think it's called mesh or something, like, and you can bake it, it's like baking a cookie. And then after you bake it, there's certain like surfaces or layers that enemy AIs can travel on. And then there's this already like built-in API, which is like artificial intelligence. And once you set the target, they all just come towards you automatically. I think like if you're like an extra level Unity coder, you don't need to do a lot because Unity has a lot of stuff built in. But I'm like a total noob, so I really don't know like what other like there's huge room for me to improve, but that's what I did for this game.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
For those of us who can't see, what did you get done?
Oh, what did I get done? Like you want to see here? Or you want to see the actual?
No, I'm wondering what you got for virtual reality.
Oh, you can just see this basically. I'll show you. So this is the game view. Oh no. Okay, so yeah, it's not really like this either because this is something I was trying to fix when I was deploying. But yeah, this is basically what the judges can see, I guess.
Yeah. Was there any APIs? Sorry, was there any APIs to do like the interior?
Oh, that part. That part is, I got a lot of help from Roberto back there. He found like a third party sort of a camera view, which Justin also used, I think. Yeah, which is pretty cool. Like there's, yeah. So that's one of the bits and pieces. Yeah, they got the two cameras set up for each of your eyes. Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Thank you.
For artwork, like you mentioned the model you can do, but in terms of like putting all of it together and well, the baby with the laser, that's you, right? Or the baby came with the laser.
No, the baby did. That's a particle effect. The laser is like a particle effect.
Right.
It depends on how fast you want it to go too. Yeah, I can see the shadow of the bullets.
How much of the game mechanics are provided by Unity?
Pretty much everything except for the particle effect and some of the scripts that I did, such as like to moving with virtual reality.
Right.
Yeah, the virtual reality part I did, but a lot of the assets and some of the basic scripts Unity did.
Do you have a chance to use Justin's API on this yet?
I did, and to be honest, like I'm sure it's not Justin's fault, but as soon as I started to get that in my game, I had problems deploying it. Yeah, it's not his fault. Like it's just I don't understand the yeah.
Wow, that was fun.
All right. Okay, so that concludes DevFest, really. The judges will deliberate on the best 3 projects. Meanwhile, please clean up. Actually,